What does a day in which you're going to hold yourself to the highest standard look like?
Oh, I get up around 6, do some social media. I usually have a list of things that I'm interested in posting about. So I try to keep engaged on all of the various social channels. And I try not to spend too much time on it. I also look at comments and reply to those, maybe 20 minutes. And then I will have planned out the night before what I want to work on. And I'm usually working on more than one project at a time. I don't always work on more than one project within the same day, but sometimes I do. So it might be, all right, I'm going to draft the next 3 scenes of this middle grade book that I'm working on. I'm also going to look at the comments I got back from some critique partners on a picture book that I'm working on. And I'm either going to think about that or incorporate that. And I always have a very long list of administrative things to do. I give presentations, so I'll have to work on slides for that. I might actually rehearse the presentation. Um, and a long list. I'm doing a trip to Las Vegas to give a presentation, so I need to make the flight arrangements and hotel arrangements and all of the logistics around that. Logistics around school visits, following up with bookstore visits. So I can sometimes spend my whole day, my whole work day, just doing administration and logistics. And I have to often prevent myself from doing that, so that I have time to do my creative expression also.
How do you section that up? I have the same weakness sometimes. The
Yeah.
blog will get away from me. This podcast will get away from me. It's writing adjacent. It's like writing.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
how
I'm
do you,
sure.
you know,
Sometimes I try to make it a day. So Monday's going to be all of my administration stuff, and here's the long list. I want to try to bang this all out in a day. Um, or I'll say the morning is going to be creative, the afternoon is going to be logistics or something like that. I try to go for a walk or get out. I do some form of exercise almost every day. Right now it's walk. I'm walking pretty much every day now, and that can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. I listen to audiobooks, or music or podcasts at the same time, so I can. Some of that is work, and some of it's pleasure. Um, and then thereafter, I go grocery shopping, go to physical therapy, all the other stuff I have late, and I try to make all of those types of appointments later in the afternoon. And I very rarely work in the evening unless I'm doing some edits that I can do in front of the TV.
was that something that was true when you weren't writing, that you're just naturally more in tune? I don't know what the word would be, but a better worker in the mornings?
Oh, very much, yeah. And in the earlier parts of my career, when I was working at a very ferocious pace, I would go into the office very early, often at my desk by 6 or 6:30, and my husband would drop the kids off at daycare, and then I would work right through until 4 or 4:30, so that I could pick up the kids at an earlier time. So he would bring the kids in a little later. I would try to pick them up a little earlier, so it shortens their day, but I could still get a long work day in the office. And then after baths and bedtime, I almost always worked again in the evening.
That was when you were just working on pharmaceutical and business type
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, at a very ferocious pace. And now I've also incorporated things that are work. So, for example, I love going to the movies. I love movies. It's also, however, part of my work and my creative process. So that's great that I can, and I incorporate that into most weeks. I would say at least 2 or 3 times a month, I go to the movies. During the day or in the afternoon. And it's something I absolutely love to do. Sometimes it'll be social and I'll meet friends. And it's also, though, part of my work, and studying movies and dialogue and plot lines is something I really enjoy, but it also helps my craft.
And you like going to the actual theater, sitting there in the dark on the with the big
Yep.
screen. I
I
assume
try to
that's fun.
prioritize. There's some movies that are big screen movies, Maverick, for example, that it was, I loved it, and I'm so glad I saw it on the big screen. I also saw Ticket to Paradise with George Clooney and Julia Roberts recently, which was a very good, enjoyable movie in the theater, but that wasn't necessarily a big screen movie. That didn't have to be one that I saw in the theater. So I do try to prioritize action, superhero. I prioritize those in the theater, whereas something else I might watch at home.
Sean, you're a big superhero fan?
I like all I have very, very eclectic movie taste, except something that's a real tearjerker. Something where the dog dies, forget it, I'm out. You know,
They should put a warning on the poster for those types of movies.
yeah, absolutely. No, I want to be entertained and thrilled. I don't want to leave depressed. So, but I like them all. I like the superhero movies, horror movies, kids animated. Yeah, I love the Hotel Transylvania movies, the Minions. I watch it all.
I was cynical about Maverick because I was meh on Top Gun
Okay.
originally, and so I waited till it came out and I could stream it on here at home. And I regretted it. I had no idea. I was just expecting propaganda, and it was USA were the best. But that movie was deeply emotional and incredible. Like, oh, I should have gone to the big screen. I missed out. I should have been there in the theater.
Yeah,
Next,
I agree. I thought they did a really great job, especially, with the plane scenes and inside the plane. I thought it was a very immersive experience.
and I went to an arts theater just this weekend. Steamed audience knows that we record the show in advance. I try to mention the date. It's December 5th, the steamed audience of 2022. So if the aliens have landed prior to March when you're hearing this, we're not talking about it because we don't know about it. But I went to see The Fablemans, which I can't say enough good things about. And I was surprised it wasn't playing on the bigger screens, but it wasn't. So I had to go to an art theater, and I got there at 2:05, which I'm used to. You get to the theater, you're going to sit through 20 to 30 minutes of previews. So I just show up late. No, the movie had already started, just right on the dot. And what you mentioned Steven Spielberg earlier, and the importance of being related to him. But my God, I have been an admirer of his all my life. So it felt like I was watching a superhero origin story since it's his life story translated roughly. And I can't, it is one of the finest pieces of art I've ever beheld. Just an incredible experience at the theater. If you haven't seen it, put it on your list. The Fablemans, it's incredible.
Yes, I have seen the preview multiple times, which is interesting that I hate to miss the previews at the movies because I do jot on my calendar what's coming out and what I want to see. And I saw the preview for that multiple times, but it didn't come to my big theater that I have the membership to. So I'll have to hunt around a little bit more to find that because it is something I'm really interested in.
But like I say, I had to go to a theater that's out of my way that I usually don't go to, but I wasn't going to miss this. I read all the movie books as a child about how he grew up, but it's like, oh, this is the movie version of that story I loved so much when I was younger. And it just as in terms of doing a self-portrait and being just as honest as he possibly can. I mean, obviously it's carefully crafted to be a film and to be compelling and all of that. But the way he looks at his parents and his entire family situation, I yearn for that kind of courage as an artist. It's absolutely amazing. Mr. Spielberg, if you're listening, come on the show. By God, we'll talk about it.